In this video, I'm going to look at making a snowflake themed Christmas tree decoration. And I'm going to approach this in terms of looking at vector graphics, modifying vector graphics, and using some of the transform tools that we get here in Techsoft Design. Okay, so first of all, let's just make sure that we've got the grid set up as a 5mm grid. This is just my little routine with pale lines. The reason why I do this is because if you zoom in on the dots, they tend to just disappear. Whereas if I have pale blue lines, when you zoom in, I find it much easier to control. Okay, now if I was doing this, the first thing I would do would be to create perhaps a broad maximum size that my Christmas tree decoration could be. And to do that, I can go to the circle tool here. I can come to a circle with a given radius. With a ruler in my hand here, I can try to visualize the maximum size I might want to make that bauble. And let's say I'm going to be making it, I don't know, a 60 millimeters in diameter, so 30 millimeters radius. And I would just draw that with gridlock turned on the grid, and I'd have that as kind of like a reference template for me to work with. Now, what I'm going to do in this video, however, is I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to start to explore some ideas for a Christmas decoration themed around snowflakes. But, I might come back to this later and use it as a reference to see if I need to resize what I've done. Okay, so let's actually just ignore that for the time being. I'm going to zoom more into the center of the page here. And actually, the first thing I'm going to do here, in fact, let's just come onto a circle tool, I think, a standard circle tool, is I'm going to probably just draw a reference circle to the middle of my snowflake. I'm just thinking here most snowflakes are going to have like a circular center. So let's just do that to begin with. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to draw out one of the branches of this snowflake. So let me see, I'm going to come to the polyline tool here and I'm going to start to draw on the grid. Now, at the moment, I'm afraid that my 5mm grid a little bit too restrictive, but on my step block at the moment, it's currently set to 1mm. I would like to set that to 2.5 millimeters because that means that I've got like the midpoint of my grid to work to. And that is now going to allow me to start to draw out a kind of a branch coming out of here. So let's just see how this might evolve. I'm going to come so far out, and then I want to have my branches coming out at a fixed angle. And rather than trying to discover what that angle is, instead I'm going to come to radial lock here. I'm going to right click on the radial lock tool in the right hand toolbar, and I'm going to make it so it's only active when line drawing and marquee box rotations. And I'll leave this at 45 degrees, which now means I get this nice 45-degree kind of angle snapping. Okay, let's take that out to the side. I'm going to make that into like a little crystalline structure like so. Bring it back, go a bit further. Let's try and make one that's a little bit smaller, perhaps to there. No, perhaps to there. Let's see how that looks. Along. Now you see that's too small there. So let me see. I'm probably going to right click. I'm actually going to, let's undo that and start again. Let's go so far. Now, where did I go to? I went to, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yes, let's go to there, bring that out to there, and then up again, something like that. That's nice. There you go. That's good. And then at the end here, let's have this perhaps coming to a tip. And then actually, I'm going to stop there because I want to have the same things repeated on both sides. So actually, I'm going to just go to the delete part tool here, which is where I hold on the mouse button on the delete any tool, and I can just trim that line back to the nearest intersection. Now I'm going to select this polyline here, and I want to mirror this, so it's going to be like a symmetrical pattern. So let's go to the transform tool, let's come to mirror image, I'm going to repeat it, and with step lock turned on here, I'm going to draw a line on that grid there, and it's going to just duplicate that round. Okay, so there's my kind of snowflake branch one. I'm going to see what happens now if I rotate this around the circle in the middle here. So let's go back to my transform tools. I'm going to go to rotate the selected objects. I'm going to go here for 45 degrees, and I'm going to repeat that another 7 times. So there's going to be 8 branches in total. And let's have a see what we get there. I've got to click now on the center point of the circle, and that's actually looking really quite cool. I like that a lot. Okay, let me see if I grab this, however, and let's just see how this fits. In fact, even better than that, let's grab this circle, let's bring it across and just pop it in here. And that's actually turned into quite a big decoration. In fact, let's just get now a circle tool, actually draw a circle around this. Let's get the dimension tool here and go to draw diameter dimension and just see how big this is. Yeah, that's 90 millimeters. That's a fairly big decoration. Now, were that to be like the star to the top of the tree, that might work, but I feel as if it's a bit on the big side. So let's actually, at this point, let's just take all of this. Let's just take that to the side. I'm going to turn on gridlock here. Let's take that to the side over here. So I've got that as a model to refer to. Now then, let me see here. I am now going to select all of this, shift deselect the 90 dimension, deselect with select and shift the circle, and then let's copy and paste this and bring that across here so I can just manipulate this a bit more. And let's zoom in and see what we can do. Okay, right. So how about I select all of those branches, deselect the circle with shift select, and then or shift click and then delete them back. I'm back to where I am now. Let's just try and make this smaller. So one way I could do that is I could take this shape, go to start edit here in the corner, grab all of these nodes and then bring these down. Oh, I need to make sure I've got step lock turned on there. Bring this down. Let's make it so it's not as long. If I compare to what I had before, let's obviously, oh, I need to make sure it's actually aligned as well. Let's end edit there. And let's actually make sure that the midpoint here is all correctly aligned. So I need to bring that down one whole square like that. I can see I've actually only brought that in 5 millimeters. Okay, well, let's just see what happens. Yeah, I think that's going to make it so it's even 2.5. So that's not going to make a huge difference. And now if I come to my transform tool again, same settings, now you can see my problem is that it's starting to collide here on this little branch. So let's obviously, I'm going to undo that. What else can I do with this? Maybe I can start edit again. Maybe I could get these nodes here, bring them down a little bit. Oh, back to step lock, bring them down a little bit. Maybe I can stick these nodes here, bring these down a little bit. Maybe I grab everything here and bring it even more further down. Maybe I make it like sort of super compact like that. Maybe this circle in the middle is too big. Now I've got step locks selected. Maybe I could just draw a circle that's going to be just this big. Okay, let's delete this and let's now grab this and do another rotation with the same settings. It's still colliding, but if I just bring a circle over this and see how big this circle is as a comparison, right now I'm down to 70 millimeters diameter. So this is definitely moving closer to my 60 that I originally wanted to have over here. That was my original objective. Okay, so therefore, let's just, let me see what I want to do here. I want to select that branch. I want to select that circle. I'm going to copy those, and let's just bring those over here. Make sure that they're on the grid. Make sure they're on the grid in the right place so everything's lined up like that. Okay, so let's just zoom in now over here and see what we can do. My thinking here is, could I actually, instead of having a circle, this circle here is going to have a diameter of 15. If I make that 12.5, now let's see, if I come to the circle with a given radius, 12.5 divided by 2 is going to be 6.25. So you can see that's a little bit of a smaller circle there. So let's actually drop that in instead. And let's also now see if I can just grab this and start edit and make it even smaller. And now let's just see if I can do a different rotation with this. I think, can I also... How's it going to look if I select this? Not leave it as it is. Let's select this and let's do a rotation through 60 degrees, and this time 5 repeats. So it's going to have 6 branches overall. How's that going to look? Oh, look at that. It's almost just touching on the corner there, but not quite. And I'm actually starting to like that design an awful lot. Okay. There is, of course, another way that I could approach this. I could, if I wanted to, actually make it big like this. And then, of course, I could select it. Let's just deselect the circle there. I could copy that, um, paste it into this space here. Now, if I think about this, I want to go from 90 down to 60. So if I just select this shape again, deselect the outer circle, and I come to the transformation tool and I come to alter the size of the selected objects. Now what I want to do, if I go from 90 down to 60, that's a reduction of, if I'm not mistaken, 1/3, because 1/3 of 90 is 30. If I reduce it by a third, 90 minus 30 is 60. So I hope that makes sense. I could put a decimal place in here, but instead, or in other words, the way of looking at this is I want to make it 2/3 of its current size. I can put this in as a fraction. And if I do that, hopefully what will happen, I'm going to replace it. Hopefully what will happen is that this snowflake will perfectly fit inside this circle. Let's hope this is the case. Click on OK, and I need to click on the center point there. And look at that, it just scales in perfectly. So maybe that's another way there of making my snowflake. This has got 8 branches, and of course, as a result of doing the scaling in that fashion, if I just come to the dimension line tool and turn on the attach tool here, I can see that the width of this branch, which originally was 5 millimeters, has now scaled down to 2/3 of 5 millimeters, which is 3.33 recurring. Okay, so there we are. I've got this snowflake here now looking rather good. I've got another snowflake over here. Let's make sure I've got a gridlock on there. And I've turned off the attach tool. I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to pop that just there. There's one last thing I'm actually going to do here. In fact, let's just pop that over there. And let's just grab this, deselect the circle, bring it across to here. Last thing I want to do here, well, last 2 things, is I'm going to add a little circular profile here to attach a piece of string to hook it onto the tree. And secondly, I'm going to look at color coding it for laser cutting. Okay, so for the little circle here, first of all, let's get the circle tool. And I need to think about how big this little circular cutout at the top needs to be. Hopefully it's going to make sense when I do it. I'm thinking of making it 7.5, no, 6, let's make it 6 millimeters in diameter. So 3 millimeters radius. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw this. Let's put a step lock on. I'm going to draw that, let's say, can I put it there? And can I put it with this one here? Can I put it there? Does that work? Or do I put it there? No, I'm going to put it there. Let's see what happens. And then I need to have a hole in this. So again, I'm going to right click on this tool to bring up my dialog box. And let's have a hole that's going to be 3 millimeters, 1.5. So there's going to be a hole there, and there's going to be a hole there. So maybe that's a little bit on the big side. Maybe I'm going to put that in as 1.25, which would be 2.5 millimeters diameter. Yeah, I'm preferring the size of that. Okay, so there's my little hole for the string to pass through. So let's just now add in some color to this. So it's going to laser cut. So on the laser cutter that we're working with, black lines do nothing, only blue lines cut. So obviously I don't want to cut all the lines here. I'm going to select specific lines. I want to first of all cut that little circular cutout where the string's going to pass through. So let's make the color there blue. And then let's make sure that's blue there. Yes, it is. And then I want to do the outline of this shape. And for that, I'm going to use the contour tool. So I'm going to click on the contour tool here. I'm going to put the contour spacing to 0 millimeters. I'm going to have a graphical contour. I'm going to make sure this is going to be in blue. And I'm going to click just wide of the shape. So just outside the shape here. And you can see what it's just done there is it has put a blue contour. Let's make sure gridlock's turned on there. It's put a blue contour all the way around the outside like that, which is looking absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So let's get the contour tool, same settings, click on here, and in the same way, I've contoured the outline. So now to actually send this to the laser cutter, I think the easiest thing to do actually is select the little hole cutout, then shift select the contour. I'm going to group that control together, group G, and I'm going to bring this across to the right, and that is my first CAD file for laser cutting. And then same over here, select, shift select, control G, and then bring this across to this side. In fact, I did a control G there, didn't I? Actually, I feel like I want to leave the originals on there. So actually, I think I'm going to select, I'm going to, yes, copy that. And I'm going to that again, and copy and paste. And then I'm keeping the original files as they were. So those are my 2 snowflakes ready to be laser cut, and I have to say they're looking pretty cool. I think of the 2, I'm actually preferring this one here because by scaling it down precisely using the transform scale or alter the size there tool, it's actually meant that it's thinned the branches out, and I think that looks more elegant, whereas this one here looks a little bit chunky with the size of branches that we see there. But nevertheless, hopefully I've gone through a series of kind of technical techniques there. It's not just a case of randomly drawing lines. I'm using these transform tools and some clever manipulation of lines and grid settings to be able to make some unique and personalized snowflake Christmas tree decorations.